Welcome back to Nick Lenz's movie review episode number 133.5. Yeah, doing another one of these little point fives. If you're new to my channel, the point of these point fives is simply this. There's some things I may have actually forgotten to talk about in a previous video, so I basically do these type of things to do a follow-up to it. No, it's not an in-between video, it's basically just following up exactly what I messed up. Now, this is basically what I talked about in my previous episode. This very film, Captain America Civil War. There's a few things I forgot to talk about. First of which, the raft. Yes, the raft. In the film, it's basically this underwater, this prison that's in the middle of the freaking ocean. Which, as far as I can tell, there is no prisons like this in real life. And my guess is the Russo brothers must take inspiration from Harry Potter and the Prison of and the Goblet of Fire when they had Ask in the middle of the frickin' ocean. They must take inspiration for that. That's the only thing I can personally think of. Yeah. And, well, those of you who don't know what the raft is, it's an underwater prison that's connected to Rikers Island in the comics. A lot of notorious supervillains were kept here. In case you're wondering where any superheroes act in this prison, one, Daredevil was briefly held here during I believe was during Brubaker's run. He was briefly held here. Actually, no, it was during Bendis' run. He was briefly held here until he was broken out by frickin' Punisher. Yep. And yeah, and it also was notorious to serve as one of the many base operations for the Thunderbolts. Yeah, when they're acting as Marvel's Suicide Squad. Yeah, this lasted for about 2 years. Yeah, this lasted up until the end when it became Dark Avengers and the book ended. Yep. Yeah, and that's where pretty much like all the captured heroes were sent. Now, in the case of people who actually are in the film, aside from the Scarlet Witch, there's a few of the characters who actually were in the film were not involved in the original event. Hawkeye himself was actually dead during this period of time. Well, actually, he came back just after this event. He came back in present day because he came back because of House of M. But he was revealed to be technically alive until after the events of this particular crossover. And basically, there was a Hawkeye in the book in the event, and it was Kate Bishop. Yep. But any other character who popped up during this event who acted in this movie who was not part of the original event, basically, it's only just three: the Vision, Scarlet Witch, Hawkeye, and Scott Lang. These four are the only ones who are actually not part of the original event. Yes, it is indeed true that Cap and Iron Man did fight each other in the event, but they were not going to be very nice people anyways. Talking about the Russo Brothers writers basically going to betray these people. The Vision, of course, they have a little something here from the comic books in the movie where he actually is in a relationship with the Scarlet Witch, which is something that's true from the comic books. Though he never actually wore actual clothes, basically just his raw body. Yep, he put on like a sweater and pants. Oh yeah, and they actually have this thing where he actually walks through walls. Yeah, that's something he actually can do in the comic books. And also, when they have Hawkeye show up in the movie, he shows up to free Scarlet Witch, who's held under house arrest by Ross. Yep. Oh, because she's too dangerous. Really? Because she accidentally caused some deaths. You need a little more justification. Is she insane? No. Her comic counterpart is insane. Yeah. She was insane. I mean, there were some jokes about, like, for several years about her causing, like, near destruction of the mutant race in the comics. But in the movie, there's no mention of mutants at all because we can't mention mutants in the MCU. Well, now we can. But before this movie came out, couldn't do it because the X-Men were over at Fox. Yep. Now, also during the event, Captain he did not give up his shield in the original event. He actually died. Yeah, he was killed by a brainwashed Sharon Carter. In the movie, he just gave up his shield and then simply went back to wearing his costume he wore in Winter Soldier. Just moved the Silver Star from the outfits when he popped up in Infinity War. Yep. as in the case with the Winter Soldier, he decided to become a refugee. He pretty much became a resident of Wakanda, though he had put in stasis in order to cure his brainwashing. So, even though this movie is basically a loose adaptation of Civil War, it's also adapting a little bit of stuff they actually did not adapt from Winter Soldier, and a little bit of stuff from some period comic books, and that's pretty much it when it comes to Captain America Civil War. And let's see. I think in the case of bringing back Ross, this was a good idea. No problem with bringing him back. I think William Hurt did a good job playing the character before, so I get why they're bringing him back. Why they took so long to bring it back, I have no idea. Now, in case you're wondering, even though Hulk was not in this film, was he involved in the original Civil War event when it came out 13 years ago? The answer is no. He wasn't. Where was the Hulk? He was off in space doing his critically acclaimed Planet Hulk storyline by Greg Pak. That's what's going on with him. What about Thor? He wasn't in the movie. Was he part of the original Civil War event? Kind of. But at the time, Thor was dead. Yeah, he had been dead for about 2 years at that point. Yeah, he died when he caused Ragnarok for Asgard. Yeah, it was something that happened toward the end of Thor Volume 2. It was really weird and caused all the Asgardians. So all of it came back anyways, thanks to JMS, his awesome run he did for the book. His run didn't last very long. It lasted for like about 2 years before he left. Yep. And as for what Thor was up to during the events of this movie, of course, they reference this movie in Infinity War. What he's up to, he's basically going throughout the 9 realms, trying to figure out the source of his vision he got from Age of Ultron. That's pretty much that's the only explanation I could think of why he's not in the movie. But I get why he's not there. But the Hulk, they never gave a storyline reason why he was not in the movie because he just abruptly left. But the thing is, I should also mention this, that after Age of Ultron, there was a shift for Marvel Studios. Yes, Marvel Studios was moved out from under the thumb of Ike Perlmutter and put under the graceful hands of the chairman of the Walt Disney Corporation, Bob Horn. And because of that, we got this movie made. Yeah, Ike Perlmutter, from what I've heard, some info recently released about him, my gosh, this guy is not a nice person, from what I heard, and he tried to control the MCU, even though you should let people who actually make movies control the MCU. Luckily enough, and now currently, anyways, all of Marvel, like not only the movies under control of Kevin Feige, but also the TV show as well. Yeah, Marvel Television has sort of been absorbed into Marvel Studios as a whole. And plus, he's also kind of in charge of the comic book side of stuff, which is quite interesting. And plus, in case you're wondering, now it was also revealed that Ike Perlmutter is the reason why we didn't have Fantastic Four comic for 3 years. He's the reason for that. Actually, yeah, he's the reason we didn't have one for a few years. He's the reason for that, because of his bitter blood feud with Fox. Like Disney has since bought Fox. Yep. Yeah, as far as I can tell, trying to think, was anything else I forgot from this movie? Let me think here. Oh yeah, I almost forgot Everett Ross. He was another person I forgot to mention. He's played by Martin Freeman, who at the time when this movie came out was only known for about a few things. He was known for being in the film Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which I actually kind of enjoyed. The one person didn't like it very much. He was also in the Hobbit movies playing Bilbo Baggins, and he played Dr. Watson on Sherlock with the future Doctor Strange, which I'll talk about him in my next movie review. Yeah, I'll talk about Doctor Strange. And I appreciate though now here's the thing about Everett Ross is quite interesting. Despite the fact he's basically a similar character he is in the comics, the way Chris Reeves wrote him is that he was a wuss. Yep. In the films, he's a badass. At one point, the Black Panther was arrested, but lucky enough, since he's royalty, he's able to get out scot free, no problem. hmm Yep. And there was this book that Zemo got his hands on. He got his hands on from one of Winter Soldier's handlers, because apparently this was leading up to the revelation of what happened with the Starks. And the bunker they went to the end of the movie apparently had a bunch of other type of sleeper soldiers that possibly, now they don't really state exactly who had these people become what they are. I know it's explained in Winter Soldier what Hydra was responsible for it. In the comics, it was the Red Room, aka the Russians. Yeah, that was all Brubaker stuff. So we have a little bit of Mark Millar and Ed Brubaker influence with this movie. Basically, comes to storytelling, but I at least gotta praise the fact that Chris Evans was not written like the way he was in Civil War. He was written like Ultimate Cap, which was stupid. Which you can't blame Mark Millar for not writing him that way, because that's how he wrote him in Ultimates. Yep. Yeah. Though the training facility in this, now this is actually the third film that features the new Avengers training facility. After this film, the training facility was not featured again until Infinity War. It was also featured in Endgame as well. It's a great place basically to have like a building, anyways. And it's something though they stopped using the tower and went with this training facility. Yeah, but it's later. I think it did show up. The tower itself did make one appearance in Homecoming, but that was last you saw of Avengers Tower, because it's only physically appeared in about 4 films overall. Yeah, Tower appeared in Avengers, Age of Ultron, Captain America: Winter Soldier, and Homecoming. That was only 4 appearances by it. The training facility, Age of Ultron, Ant-Man, this movie, and Homecoming. Oh, and also the 2 Avengers movies. So the only 2 Avengers movies. We'll talk about soon. Now, I get kind of the reason why they call this film Avengers 2.5, because it feels like an Avengers movie. That's the simple gist of it. And the rumor is the reason why Robert Downey Jr. showed up in this movie and doing the Iron movie, yeah, he decided to do this instead of doing Iron Man 4 for some reason. Yeah. I mean, if they did Iron Man 4, my only personal suggest they could have done with it, and this is something I've told my friend Edgar about. Even he loves this idea. Like, what if there was an actual Crimson Dynamo who was actually somebody who knew, like, Howard Stark, and he came in basically, not to be a villain per se, but somebody basically activated one of his armors, and he comes to the U.S. to seek out Tony Stark's help to deal with this new Crimson Dynamo who's going to be a threat to Tony Stark himself. Because the armor he built for him, he was actually forced to build for him. Yeah. Oh yeah, and also, in case you're wondering, does Cap break out who's in the prison? Oh yes, and in case you're wondering what happened to the fate of these people, Scarlet Witch went on the run. Hawkeye and Ant-Man basically were put on house arrest. Yep, they were. Sam, unknown what happened to him. Yeah, it's like he was on Cap's side, but as far as I can tell, he was not put under house arrest at all. I think he was just basically traveling with Cap after this. As what Cap was doing between this movie and when he showed Infinity War, they don't explicitly explain exactly what the heck he's been up to, aside from the fact he's been in exile. Maybe they'll explain at some point. Who knows? Yes, in case you're wondering, it was there a comic that led this movie? There was a prelude comic, but as in the case with Seventh Events, this movie, well, no, there isn't anything I can think of. But yeah, that's it for this particular review. That's all I can say, basically, also about Captain America: what I forgot to mention in my last review. Yep, my next review I'm going to do, The 7 Deadly Sins. Yep, and then it'll be another review, actually about 2 more reviews I'm going to do today, like, alongside with that one. Basically, we'll over about 3 of them anyways. So basically, we'll go through 3 films in the MCU. Yep. And let's see what else. I'm also going to do, hopefully, reviews of this episode of My Hero Academia and Case Closed. Provided Case Closed since they week off, like it did recently. Yeah. I'm also keep checking to see if they release a new chapter yet for the manga. Yep, I'm definitely gonna check that. Okay, but see you next few. Bye.